Most students think that simply doing more mocks equals a higher UCAT. Most students would be wrong. It's what you do after each mock that separates those who score in the high 90th percentiles and those who don't. My name is Farhan, I'm a junior doctor, and I've helped over 100 students get into medicine and dentistry across Australia. And today, you're going to learn how to analyse every single mock you do, what to fix, how to adjust your routine, and how to turn each exam into a real improvement in your score. So, let's get into it. First of all, I want to have a quick word on the mentality around mocks. Each mock is an opportunity for you to improve. It's a chance for you to see your progress. I want you to treat these mocks as a measure of how you're going with these progress. See how far you've come after you've learned and you've consolidated new techniques. The main thing is that progress will never be linear. Even the best of the best, those who score in the high 90th percentiles, do not have linear progress. And this is normal. As long as you don't drop, a 150 score from one mock to another, I want to say you're doing quite fine, because quite honestly, that little 150 difference can be the difference in difficulty that you have from one mock to another. So just keep that in mind. If it's not linear, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not progressing. So with that said, let's get into the 4A mock method that you can use to analyze and make use of every single mock that you do. First of all, you attempt it. You sit the mock just like you would the real UCAT. Then you analyze it. You reflect on the mistakes that you've made. Then you adjust. You do some targeted practice sessions for the weaknesses that you've identified. And then, and only after you've done all of that, do you do it again. So let's get into number one, which is to sit the mock like the real UCAT. Every single mock is an opportunity to see what works for you. What you eat beforehand, what time of day you perform your best, what clothes you feel the most comfortable in, and everything else. So you really want to take every single mock as an opportunity to experiment with what works for you and what doesn't. Let me just give you a little case study. So I'll anonymize this person's name to Dahlia. It's not a real name, but essentially she was one of the most promising students that I've had in my system. On track for a 95th percentile UCAT, enough to get an interview. She was bossing her practice day in and day out. And on the day of her exam, she has a poor night's sleep. She has almost a bottle of Coke before her UCAT to make up for feeling tired. And with that big sugar rush in the morning, she had a big sugar crash during her UCAT. You see, your nutrition can play an alarmingly important role in ensuring you perform at your best for these mocks and for the exam. So each mock is a chance to see what works for you from a nutritional standpoint, from what you eat before the mock. So here's what I've learned from my days of tinkering. Avoid sugar and highly processed foods. These are designed, chemically designed, right, forensically designed to make you feel hungry soon after eating. And this is a recipe for disaster in the UCAT. When you want to sit down for 2 hours and focus, the last thing you want is your tummy to be grumbling. So choose more filling foods. Have a hefty serve of protein before your UCAT. Things like chicken, beef, fish, lentils, tofu, tempeh, eggs, whatever you fancy. But just have some protein before your UCAT. Choose complex carbs over simple carbs. Things like rice and whole grain bread over candy, soda, and syrups. They give you that quick sugar rush. And also, this is an underrated one, embrace healthy fats if you're not already doing so. They can be very, very filling and satiating when eaten adequately. Things like peanut butter, avocado, eggs, and olive oil. If you're not already including healthy fats in your diet, then I absolutely do recommend to do so. Next is considering what time of day you perform your best. For most students, it's around the 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. window. For when you're sitting your mocks, stick with your test date time if it's already booked. So if your test is booked in for 4 p.m., try to sit your mocks at 4 p.m. just so you can get used to your energy levels and how you feel at 4 p.m. But you also want to experiment. You can choose to do your mocks at another time intentionally if you like, especially if you haven't already booked your UCAT, right? One, because it might be a more convenient time of day, or you may find that you perform better at a different time of day. For example, you might be better at 10 a.m. instead of 4 p.m. If that is the case, then consider booking your UCAT for that time if it's not already booked, or rescheduling your UCAT to sit your UCAT at that better time if possible. If you want a full breakdown on all the considerations for booking your testing center, date and time, I've got a video on that. Go check that out. Next, what clothes you feel most comfortable in. It's a random one, but I recommend to pick an outfit. Just pick like a UCAT mock outfit that you have and associate that outfit with good UCAT performance. So I still remember my outfit. It was a cream colored hoodie and like tracksuit pants. I wore the same outfit on the day of every mock and on the day of my UCAT. So that when I went into my UCAT, it kind of just felt like another mock. And it took away some of the stress that I was feeling. And another benefit was that I was very comfortable in what I was wearing. Next is drinking water. There's no toilet breaks on the real day. There is, but realistically there's not. Because once you start your 2 hours, there is no stopping. Otherwise you're wasting time. So ensure that you use the bathroom before you do your UCAT mocks. And try your best not to use the bathroom during these mocks. Train that bladder. If you are using the bathroom during the mocks often, then consider drinking less water before your mocks or consuming more salt before your UCAT. It actually aids water retention. Next, simulate. Look, there's not going to be any distractions in the day. You're not going to have your brother knocking on the door, coming in, barging, wanting something. So put up a sign on your door saying, busy, doing mock, do not disturb. The intention is to treat this like the real thing. Get rid of any distraction that you've got. No phone on the table, no nothing. Put in earplugs if you need to. Do everything that you would do on the day of your UCAT, because this gives you practice and exposure to the stress of what the UCAT feels like. And when you have that adaptation, you feel more ready to perform at your best on the actual UCAT. So that was an attempt to sit the mock like the real UCAT. So if you found that helpful, and if you want a collection of all the frameworks that I've got for the UCAT, then click the link in the description below. Let's move on to step 2. Analyze, reflecting on mistakes. First of all, why should we analyze? Because, doing the mock is actually only half of the work. If anything, it's the easy half. And getting the scores does not mean you're done, regardless of improvement. The other half, the half that actually gets you to improve, comes down to analyzing where you went wrong. This is how you truly extract the full value of a mock exam. So here's what I need you to do. Look at the question types. Look at what questions you are struggling on the most. And I define that as things that you're getting incorrect or the things that you're spending a long time on, regardless of, by the way, if you're getting them right. So ask these questions. Was it a mistake in the wrong application of formula? Or maybe you were not sure how to approach the question. Maybe you misinterpreted the question, or maybe there was not enough time to even do the question. Think about what mistakes you're making. And once you've labeled a specific mistake, then rectify them. If it was a wrong application of a particular formula, then revisit how to apply that specific formula. Build from the ground up. If you're not sure how to approach the question, then revisit, developing the skills for that particular question type, which is basically, the rest of the videos on my channel. If you misinterpreted the question, one of those silly mistakes, then consider actually taking the time to read the question properly. That is so highly underrated. Probably the piece of advice I needed to hear the most when I was sitting my UCAT. And if there's not enough time, you didn't even get to this question, then that means you actually need to optimize your approach elsewhere in the section to unlock more time for this particular question. So once you do your mock, most question platforms give you this timing breakdown where it shows you how long you spent on a question and whether or not you got it right. In my personal opinion, this is the most valuable tool of analysis when it comes to your mocks and the data that you've got. So here's how you interpret it. If it's a short and green point, it means you got it correct and you spent a low amount of time on it, which is fantastic. You want to be doing that again and again and again. Just keep in mind, it could have potentially been a guess. If you're spending 2 seconds on a question and you got a green, you guessed it, okay? If it's a long in green, great. It's good, you got it correct, but keep in mind you spent a long amount of time on it. So it's good, but you can still improve your timing for this question type. If it's short and red, it means you got it incorrect and you spent a long amount of time on it. It's not great because you want to be getting more questions correct, but it also means you potentially need to be focusing on timing elsewhere to afford time to attempt these questions, or you kind of just misinterpret the question. And the long and red ones, these are the real killers. These are the dangerous ones, because not only have you got this question wrong, but you've spent so long on it that you've stolen away the time that you could have spent on other questions to get them correct instead. So what you need to do here is work on question interpretation, timing via skill development, and basically any other factor that may have led to spending too much time on this question, potentially even choosing to skip this question type altogether next time you do a mock. So what I want you to do is have a look at this, right? Spot the issue. Where do you think the issue in this particular timing graph is? Hopefully it's clear as day, right? What are we looking at here? Big 2 red bars here. So essentially your issue is going to be here. So if this was your decision making for this particular mock, what you need to do is go into these 2 questions and see exactly what went wrong. Spot the issue here. There's a couple of them. One of the issues might be here, 79 seconds just to get a question wrong. One of them might be here, 0 seconds, right? You didn't even get to that question. So see what it was. Could you have got that question right if you spent time, which probably means you got to optimize your time elsewhere. And then also one of the hidden issues here would probably be a question like this one. You see, on the surface of it, it's beautiful, it's green, you like the color green, but you spent 76 seconds on it. And now one might argue, okay, at least I got it correct, man. 76 seconds is 76 seconds, but at least I got that mark. Let's click into it, right? Have a read of this question. A group of students are asked which countries they visited. The Venn diagram below shows which countries. How many students in the group have been to Italy? You look at the Italy diagram. You add up all those numbers. You add up 4 numbers, which you can do in your head, and you get the answer 47. Should that really have taken us 76 seconds? Right? So this is where a lot of people miss their analysis altogether, because on the surface of it, it looks fine. It's a green tick in the box, but it actually means you either heavily misinterpreted the question, first of all, and then finally got your way around to it, or secondly, that you just need to find a better formula to figure out what you're doing. You don't need a formula for this one. The formula for this is addition, but for a question that might need a more complicated formula, you need to figure out how to do it quickly. Now, analyzing is tedious. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to tell you to do this just because it's fun. It's not. It's difficult. So you might want to consider analyzing the mock the day after if you really want to, because I found that good analysis usually takes just as long, if not longer, than the mock itself. True improvement is in analyzing your mistakes. This is the habit of all top UCAT performers. They meticulously scrutinize each and every one of their mistakes until they're able to iron out most of them. All right, so that's step 2, analyzing. So let's move on to step 3, adjusting and making targeted practice sessions for your weaknesses. By the way, step 2 and 3 are the steps that most people miss, so pay attention, right? Do not attempt another mock until you have analyzed your mock. Realize where you went wrong. Know your weak points to focus on for practice, and actually done the practice and improved upon these weak points via untimed and timed questions. You have to work on the bit that let you down before you do your next mock. Guys, I get it. It's tempting. Although it might be very tempting to do another mock straight away to, redeem a poor performance or keep the ball rolling, keep the momentum going. This achieves absolutely nothing. In fact, it wastes time, it wastes energy, and wastes a useful mock exam that you could have used in the future. So always seek to improve, genuinely improve, before you sit another mock, no matter how much of an ego hit or an ego boost your previous mock may have been. And then, once you've done attempt, analyze, and adjust, and only then do you move on to step 4, which is to do it all again. So, here are some of the common traps that people fall into. Number 1, not simulating mocks as if they were the real exam. And then they walk into the real exam, they're super stressed, they don't know what to expect, because they're not used to it, they're not adapted. Question 2 is not analyzing mistakes after a mock. Just doing the mock and not seeing what they could have improved after. And 3 is doing back-to-back mocks without working on those identified weaknesses first. So here's the do's and don'ts. Do treat every mock as the real exam and as an opportunity to experiment. Do use the timing statistics to diagnose weak areas, and do target your practice on identified weaknesses between mocks. Don't do things in the mock you wouldn't do on the day, unless you're trying to experiment. Don't skip the analysis stage. I cannot hammer that enough. And don't sit another mock until you have analyzed the last one and practiced your weak areas. So, here's your next step. Go do a mock. Genuinely, go do a mock and run the 4A mock method, where you attempt, simulate, where you analyze and reflect on those mistakes, where you adjust and actually work on those weaknesses, and then do it all again. So if you're looking for a question platform to be able to do mocks on, and if you don't already have one, then you can use the code Farhan for 10% off med entry. Good luck and go do a mock.